Mark.
Hey, Elaine.
It's been a funny week, hasn't it?
Is that why we're addressing each other by name?
Yes, we are.
Like professional podcasters actually do.
Yeah. Hey, everyone, welcome to the honeymoon period, which we have tried in the past, and then it didn't work, did it? Yeah, so the reason that I'm starting it without the cold open and doing a little bit of a stilted open is because we've had a pretty challenging week. We're always very open with people on the podcast. We don't come on and go, hey, everything's brilliant, if actually it's been a bit challenging. So we've had a challenging week, lots and lots of things going on, and we're very, very tired as well. We did not have any sleep through the night. We've managed to catch up with a bit. You've gone and had a lie down, I've gone and had a lie down. But yeah, it's safe to say at 3 o'clock in the morning, both of us were sort of really trying to keep each other going whilst our son had some sort of laughter moment. A bit like the Joker, just wouldn't stop laughing, thought everything was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm not laughing at that at the minute.
No,
I'm
I
feeling
wasn't
pretty
laughing
grumpy.
at it.
I might surpass myself on the knobometer today. And I've got things to talk about that I genuinely quite like, but
Yeah, so we, it's just a warning to everyone, we might be a little bit more low-key today. The jokes might be worse than usual.
Or better.
Oh, but, well, you just don't know, do you?
Yeah.
But the other thing to say is that we've had a number of, and it's incredulous, only Mark can see my face. My face is like, what? A number of new listeners, quite a few new listeners. So we just wanted to say hello to anyone who's joined the podcast recently. The honeymoon period has now been going for over 2 years. Can you believe it? And the reason that I'm reminded of sort of the timescales is because we were featured in The Guardian on our wedding anniversary, which was also this week. It was a bright light in a difficult week.
Yes.
And it's been 2 years since the piece in The Guardian came out. And I thought it would be useful to just reflect on that for a moment, because that's really where everything sort of kicked off for us.
Yeah, I remember going out for lunch. We went out for a nice Sunday lunch, I think it was. Might have been Saturday.
Sounds like us.
Well, let's work out the day. Yeah, probably. Sunday or Saturday. It was a weekend anyway. And as we all want to do, I said, I'm going to go for a little lie down.
Still happening now.
Yeah, still painting a picture. And you run upstairs going, it's been in. Because obviously we knew that it was happening. We had photographers come around to our house and everything like that. But we were waiting for a fair while for it to appear. And then we just sat there refreshing and seeing what people had put in comments and seeing what people had tweeted out about it. Vanity searching, essentially.
Yeah, definitely.
People normally are ashamed of that. Not us.
Not us.
No
shame here.
Yeah, no.
But I thought it would be interesting. I was looking back at it because I haven't looked at it for a while. I thought it'd be interesting just to see sort of what we said 2 years ago when we were featured in The Guardian. I thought it was just really lovely, actually. And big shout out to Molly Blackhall, who was the journalist who spoke to us for the piece, which was called The Lockdown Life Changers, 6 people on their 2020 transformations from, and at the time it was like giving up gambling to getting fit and to dealing with grief, which was us. Hilarious when I'm looking back at it, we were the top picture as well as us and our shed.
Yeah, if anyone doesn't know our story, I'd recommend people go back to our first ever episode, just because I mean,
it'll be terrible.
Not going to it again, but we do have a bit of a history, and why we started the podcast is probably different to why most people start a movie and TV podcast, but yeah.
And just on that note, so Molly wrote a beautiful piece and said, these are her words, the couple wanted to open up to their loved ones about sort of what happened to us, as Mark says. You know, if you want to know our full story, go back to episode 1. And she says also realised they needed to find a way to keep their relationship strong. They created a podcast called The Honeymoon Period, talk about film and TV, which became lifelines after our twins were born. And I say here, we thought we'd get sympathy listens, Elaine says. I thought most would be Mark's mum downloading it a few times. Which
it is.
It is. But just to bring it back round, recently we've really seen an increase in our statistics.
Yeah.
And it's all from all over the world. And we just wanted to say thanks very much. We really appreciate every person who probably starts a podcast, gets to this point and goes, what are these people going on about? Move on.
I do remember the first time I checked the stats, and at the time I was checking the stats like multiple times a day because that's what you do. It's like when you get your first bank account and you're sort of checking your balance hasn't changed in the past 2 hours. And I saw the first listener from the Philippines and ran downstairs because we were working from home at the time in the middle of lockdown, and ran downstairs going, we've had a listener that's not someone we know. Do you know anyone from the Philippines?
Do you know anyone?
Because it can't be anyone we know. I still love doing this. I still love spending the time with you, just sort of chatting about stuff. It's quite frustrating when we go see a film and then can't record for a couple of days and have to hide our opinions on things when people are actually asking us outright about what we think of films. They must think we're a bit dickheads when we go like,
yes, I'm really sorry we can't talk about it because then we give the game away to each other.
Yes. But yeah, absolutely still love doing it. We think we've got quite a few things planned coming up. So yeah, thanks for listening. Should we talk about some TV and films now that we're less serious stuff?
Yeah, go on. Let's see if we can lighten it up a little bit. The sleep deprivation might lift as time goes on.
Watching television. I know that we're going to talk about marriage.
Really?
The TV show, not the.
Oh,
not
it's
the
that
concept.
talk. It's that talk, is it?
Yes. I know you've got something else that you want to talk about.
Yeah, I just wanted to do an honourable mention for a TV show that I became quite obsessed with. And it's a show that's been on Disney+. It's called Under the Banner of Heaven. Naturally, it's a true crime. Anyone who's ever listened to the podcast before will know my affinity for true crime. But it's also led by Andrew Garfield, who is just a brilliant actor. I just could watch him do anything. It's a fascinating story mixing religion and murder and just ticks every single box for me. It really reminded me of the early series of True Detective, especially series 1. Why are you frowning your head?
Well, because there's only one series of True Detective that's really... I suppose the third series was alright.
Yeah, I mean, when I mean the early... I did say like the early series and I thought... What I really mean is series 1, not series 2. But you know, there's all the things that I love. Buddy cop relationships, someone having an epiphany about things, weaving a story in and out, a bit of timeline-y stuff. I just loved it and I wouldn't stop watching it. And
I know.
Yes, I know you know, because every piece of free time I had, I was just sticking it on my, what's it called? Tablet.
Well done.
Like, I can't remember what it's called. Put it on my tablet and just watching it all the way around. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I feel like it's kind of been and gone. But I just loved it. So if you are into your true crime, if you love it's very dark. The crime that it focuses on is really quite hard hitting. But if you love that sort of genre, just go and watch this. It's a fascinating true story. And like I say, that religious element is very, very intriguing for me.
So you say this has been and gone, but I've not heard anyone else talk about this apart from you.
Oh.
No.
Right? He's, I think he's Emmy nominated, Andrew Garfield, for it. But there's so many more. I'm not going to go through the rest of the cast, but like Daisy Edgar Jones is in it, Wyatt Russell's in it. There's huge. I mean, if I listed them, I could just go on IMDb. It's like every single one's a winner.
So you talk about True Detective, and the first series of that was obviously quite, I want to say spiritual, but
yeah.
Does that play into this?
Well, so when I'm talking about religion, it's because Andrew Garfield's character is a Mormon. The people who have had the crime committed against them are Mormons. It's all about that community. So when I'm making reference to religion, that's really what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah,
and I don't want to go into it too much because you haven't seen it and
I'll never watch it.
You'll never watch it. And I just wanted to shout it out and just say to people that, you know, if it's gone under the radar, if it's something that I thought it was spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. Didn't see where it was going. Loved the darkness of it. And like I say, the Andrew Garfield performance, a man questioning, you know, what he's grown up in, the community he's grown up in, I think is just really riveting. And as you know, I could not stop watching it.
Fair enough. Should we get on to marriage then?
Yeah, let's do marriage.
So this is the new BBC, almost like flagship miniseries.
Yeah, they're doing. Is it on a Sunday night that they're doing it?
It was on consecutive nights, so it's all. I don't know if it's all aired. Certainly, all.
I think it's
there's
all on the
4 episodes
iPlayer now.
available. Yeah, 4 episodes available to air. It was started last Sunday, then was on Monday, and I don't. Presumably Tuesday, Wednesday, but I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, starring Sean Bean.
And Nicola Walker.
From previously of this podcast.
Oh, yes, yeah.
For Unforgotten?
Unforgotten. Yeah.
And this is a slice of life drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good description of it. It's from the writer behind Him and Her and Mum.
I've never seen Mum.
No, neither I.
But I
can imagine what it's like, though.
Yeah.
Just from the clips.
You introduced me to Him and Her.
Yeah.
And for a comedy, it's a film, it's one that you are obsessed with a little bit.
Oh, totally obsessed.
I've never known a TV show be as oddly marketed as this.
So you mentioned this to me before. What did you think marriage was going to be like?
I thought this was going to be not so much a sitcom. That's not what I'm looking for. I thought this was going to be far more humour-based. Mm-hmm. Because that's kind of how it's presented in the trailer. Like, the trailer is all the... Not so much the jokes, but, like, it leads with a... The closest thing they get to a standard sitcom trope is at the beginning when they're on a plane and Sean Bean is moaning that Nicola Walker wouldn't ask in the airport cafe for them to make him a jacket potato. Which...
Yeah.
And... That's obviously played for laughs and kind of observational humour. And that's how they lead this trailer, and from the makers of Him and Her. But there's very little else of this in there.
Oh, do you mean like there's very little humour?
Yes.
Yeah. I think the humour comes from those moments that we recognise. So I really recognise it. I have a real affinity with Sean Bean's character. He's clearly someone who likes things a particular way. So when she brings him chips back, even though chips are great... He really wanted a jacket potato, and then he gets obsessed with the fact that she might not have asked if they could do a jacket potato, and he could have... Like, I know that person, I am that person. And then the entire time, he can't let it go. It just stays with him. And if you watch through the rest of the episode, he's quite obsessively picking things up as well. So he picks things up off the floor and put everything in its rightful place, which suggests a character that really needs things structured and... maybe feels out of control, so is trying to control. I think you're right, they have chosen particular points, but I don't know. I mean, there's a scene in this first episode where they're in a cemetery, for example.
Yes.
You couldn't put that in as a clip, could you? You know, you're going to choose the things that are a bit more jaunty, a bit more light, because how could you show them sitting in a graveyard, for example, just in silence?
But there's a lot of that. And this is almost like a... who's the guy who did Ghost Story? David Lowery. In that you will just watch someone sitting at a desk for 2 minutes in silence.
It's very lingering, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, at one point... So this is... Nicola Walker plays someone who works in... Is it solicitors?
Solicitors, yeah.
She's clearly somewhat senior in the office, but we don't quite understand what the relationship is with her co-workers.
We've only seen episode 1.
Yeah. Sean Bean has recently lost his parents and...
Yeah, lost his mum.
Yeah, lost his mum. And
been made
redundant. So he's struggling to kind of find life. And it's just this sort of slice of life scene where they are. They have a daughter who brings around a boyfriend. He's going about his day at the leisure centre. But then at one point, the show just completely followed a different character.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I wonder what they're going to do with that. I'm interested to see where that leads to.
What did you think? So, like, I think this is excellently acted. Of course it is, because, like, there's screen royalty on screen. James Bolam plays Nicola Walker's father perfectly.
Oh yeah, it's a really toxic parenting relationship.
Yeah,
and that it is perfect. It's perfectly drawn, and you sit there and you feel for her in the difficulty she has with her dad.
And when they went round, I was still in the it's going to be a thing. Made a joke about the likely lads added. You know, he's looking out the window carefully, might see the scar, and then
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this hit. I mean, this is. I'm going to carry on watching this.
Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? Because from the sounds of it, and we, as with all things, we never talk about it until we get on the pod. From the sounds of it, I felt that you were quite down on it. But if you're saying you're going to carry on, that slightly surprises me, I think.
I just wish I understood what I was getting into when I turned it on. I liked it against my instincts. Like, my instincts are, why isn't this what I was sold?
Right, okay.
It's kind of like when you go into... You leave work, you're off on a night out, you nip into Greg's to grab a sandwich.
This is saying a lot about you.
This is well, anyone who listens to this should know me.
It's
It's
like your dream.
Yeah, and instead of a pasty, you passed a really beautiful meal. Mm-hmm. Like, I was happy. I'm happy to have that, but it's not what I'm expecting, and it's not really why I sat down to have it in the first place.
I loved it. I thought it was a real movement forward from him and her. I haven't seen Mum, but clearly the writer Stefan Golodziejski, who has, like we say, done Him and Her, done Mum. Mm-hmm. I think there's a real movement forward. In that Him and Her was based around sort of younger people. I think there was more room for comedy there. They're in a flat together. There's, the youth element of it. Mum, obviously, again, we haven't seen. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that, but this is an older couple. This is a couple who've been together for 27 years, who've clearly had some very, very difficult times within their marriage and within their personal life and their professional life, and reaching that point in life where they probably are just hanging around the house, and probably are just going to the leisure centre and not speaking to anyone. And I really feel, in terms of age as well, that middle-aged reference of being unseen, not seen or hidden or invisible, that I think that's being spoken about much more now, that it's being that someone just almost like glides through life, and because they're not the big new thing and they're not exciting and young and youthful and arty and creative, that they almost become sort of like, very beige, and people don't want to talk to them, and there's awkward conversation, and yet when we find out in this episode, they are carrying so much pain and grief that maybe if someone did sit down and speak to them, it would be a really interesting person. So I really like that element of it. The plot points really resonate with me. As we say, the scene is cemetery, so it doesn't, take someone to put much together to realise perhaps what has happened to them as a couple and how that has affected their relationship. That scene in the cemetery was so true to life, and I found myself very emotionally quite upset by it, because it was so real and so realistic, and Nicola Walker's searching eyes in that. She has these eyes that are searching, and I know that. I know what it's like to sit and go, what? Like, how has this happened? So all of those things, I thought was beautiful. It is languid. There were times where I kind of thought, maybe if this was half an hour, it would be better. And Him and Her used to be these shorter episodes, and maybe that's it. That if it was half an hour, then we wouldn't be. I wouldn't have sat. And I was perhaps the same as you, thinking, okay, is anything gonna take place, or do we have to get to episode 2 before something sort of creeps up to cause conflict, or but it's just so beautifully rendered. Like, every single relationship with the daughter, the all the things that you do when you've been with someone in a long-term relationship, talking about the loo and what have you done with your day, and that that thing of when you're going to wind someone up, or they're going to wind you, and it's like, don't make it into a thing, because you're going to make it into a thing, and it's going to become a thing. And I think it's a beautiful piece of writing. It's not particularly. It doesn't make me very happy. It makes me quite sad to watch, but I think it's just, like you say, a slice of truth. Yeah. And I think I'd have to be in the right frame of mind to keep watching the episodes, because this could really feel like it could bring you down, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Particularly if some of the the plot points that we've alluded to are part of your life as well. But it is beautifully done. I mean, it is, like you say, the acting, the setting. I mean, I was talking to you about the house that they live in whilst we were watching the episode, and just saying to you, this house is exactly the house that Nicola Walker and Sean Bean, as a married couple with a grown-up child, would be living in. Like, the kitchen was exactly the kitchen they would have, the living, you know, the dining room, just like so true to life. So yeah, it's a strong recommend from me, but I think you have to be in the right frame of mind to watch it.
Yeah, and it's all on iPlayer now, like you say. So yeah, definitely. We'll come back and let's catch a couple more and we'll report back at the end.
Yeah.
I've got some films to talk about.
And I've got some films to talk about. And funnily enough, both of us have seen some of those films, not necessarily together, as per, but we have actually seen films that we can talk about together, which is very exciting.
Let's go some films.
Saturday night at the movies. Who cares what picture you see? When you're hugging with your baby, let's roll in the balcony.
So I've got a couple of honourable mentions, similar to your TV ones. I think the moment's past for Bullet Train now, but I went in not expecting a lot, and I had a hell of a lot of fun.
You really loved this film. You kept telling me I needed to go and see it. Well, I have not seen it, listeners.
You should. I mean, I think the trailer was around for a long time, and
I got sick of it.
I thought I'd seen everything I needed to see on it. I think the trailer does really well in only showing things from maybe the first act of this film. This is such a tight film. There is zero fat on this. It's the story of Brad Pitt being a criminal for hire who goes onto a bullet train in Japan to collect a briefcase full of whatever.
Full of whatever?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's money, but yeah. There are other people on the bullet train who want that briefcase, people holding it, and there is a rogues gallery of criminals that are trying to get this briefcase.
You get that from the trailer, don't you?
Yeah, there is Aaron Taylor-Johnson, there is Brian Tyree Henry, there's Jamie King, and then there is untold, unannounced cameos, which are so much fun. Like, I was creasing laughing when another famous face turns up, and another famous face turns up. The reason this is so tight is just a throwaway comment in the first act will be used in the third act just to come back to and tie together a plot point. It's things that you didn't realise you had remembered come back and are referenced again, and it's so good. This will be in my top 10 of the year, I think.
It's so interesting because this has had such, I'm not going to say mixed reviews, because that sort of suggests that there's somewhere in the middle. It's been like, some people have said it's terrible and they hated it, 1 star, and then other people have been giving it 5 stars. So it's just really it's been swaying from one to another. I'm really surprised that you've come out, at the top end.
I think it's a very Mark movie. Like, it's Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. The way, the end of Lock, Stock. You've seen Lock, Stock,
oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where all the plot threads that you had come together in one, and everyone's in the same place at the same time. Yeah, it's so much fun. And
people are saying, sorry to interrupt, people are saying that fun Brad Pitt is fun as well, because he's like comedy Brad Pitt.
I found fun Brad Pitt to be not very fun by definition, but yeah.
Did you feel that he was sort of maybe letting loose a little bit and just being a bit more relaxed?
I think everyone's enjoying themselves, and you can tell that. Brian Tyree Henry was an absolute revelation to me. I mean, I love him from Atlanta. I don't love him from the Godzilla films. But,
I was about to say that's the last time I saw him was in the Godzilla film.
And he plays a British gangster. His accent sometimes wanes, but there is a running joke with references that he makes towards a certain thing, and just every time, sometimes jokes can really just get not funny.
Yes.
When they're referred to back to again and again and again.
I mean, most of the time I find jokes not funny.
Yeah.
So I understand,
this really works all the way through the film, of the references that he makes.
Oh, I wonder if I'd hate it. I might not get it. Would you think I would find it hard to get?
No, I think I genuinely think you'd like this. That's why I've recommended it.
Maybe feels like something like a Friday night movie.
It's definitely a Friday night movie. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a proper like, you can watch it on two levels. You can, if you watch it just staring at your phone, like, you know, it's fun and people are enjoying themselves and there's some witty banter and blah, 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 blah. But like I said, if this is the references that you would miss if that's the case, really, really, it pays to pay attention to this. I'm really glad I saw it in the cinemas, and you know,
I'm really pleased you liked it as well.
I've got another thing that I want to mention,
right,
which is less known, which is Not Okay.
Oh right, yes, you've talked about this like just in passing. So yeah, remind us what Not Okay is about.
So it's a Hulu movie that's gone straight to Disney Plus in this country. It's the story of Zoe Deutsch. Don't know how to pronounce it. I'll go with Zoe Deutsch.
Okay.
She's a writer working for a kind of clickbait website and a wannabe Instagram influencer. So in order to get a few clicks, she fakes being invited to a writing retreat in Paris. She gets a green screen, she hides in her apartment for a week and takes like photos of her in front of a green screen Eiffel Tower and in front of a green screen Arc de Triomphe. And then she goes to sleep one night and wakes up. And do you remember when we were in Las Vegas?
I do.
And I know we mention this every week, so everyone will get really sick of this. But
which one?
First time.
First time. Mm-hmm.
We got in, we fell asleep,
God, yes.
and we woke up.
Yes.
And there had been a fire on the strip. The strip had been evacuated.
Like it was directly opposite our hotel. We could see the burnout.
Yes.
Yeah, and your mum had been getting in touch all night,
trying to get work
checking
out
we were all.
Well, she does a similar thing. She wakes up and something has happened which makes the news there. There is an attack on Paris, essentially. What had it, 'cause it happens in the first act of the film. And so she, because people know that she's in Paris, she becomes a bit of a spokesperson for the survivors of this.
Okay.
I'm going to read you the warning that comes up at the beginning of the film.
God. Right, yes, go on.
Content warning. This film contains flashing lights, themes of trauma, and an unlikable female protagonist. That's a disclaimer that comes up on Disney Plus when you put it on.
Right, okay. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
This film should be awful. But it really tiptoes the line of decency, and it stayed on the right side for me. I'm sure loads of people will hate this, but seeing someone like she is a horrible person. She's doing everything for clickbait. She goes to support groups. She goes to support groups to try and work out what she should be saying to people and stuff like that. And she, of course, what always happens, you know, she meets people who are also in this situation, and obviously you can probably write where the film goes. The real star of this is another influencer she meets who has gone through a similar but not identical situation, played by someone called Mia Isaac. It's her second role. I've not seen her in anything else. She is an absolute star in this. Absolutely stands out, head and shoulders above everyone else. But yeah, I found this a lot of fun. It's not going to be in my top 10 of the year or anything like that, but it's really well made. And like, disclaimer, you may very well hate this film, but I enjoyed it, and I think I think it's worth watching.
Okay.
If you can put up with knobheads in films.
Fair enough. I mean, most of the time.
Yeah. What do you want to do next?
Can we do Prey next, and then can we do Nope?
Yes.
And then can we add a spoiler section onto the end of the pod after we do Nope?
We can.
To talk about Nope in a way that allows me to say what I want to say.
Yes.
Is that okay? I think that's the best way to. I've been thinking about this as we've been recording. That's probably the best way of doing it.
Yeah.
So I just don't think I can do a review of Nope without going into what actually happens in it.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Okay. So Prey.
Pray.
Let's run by.
Pray just to make it today.
All I do each night is pray.
Oh.
Hoping that I'd be a part of you again someday.
A part of you. Okay, let's move on.
Latest film by Dan Trachtenberg. Previously,
he of 10 Cloverfield Lane.
10 Cloverfield Lane.
I just talked over you.
Yes, thank you. Which I absolutely love.
Yes, I loved it.
Good. And the latest film in the Predator franchise.
It feels like you've just done a massive spoiler there, but I think we can kind of go for it.
I don't think so.
No, but you know how it was marketed as like something slightly dirty. I think Trachtenberg in particular, and I've listened to podcasts with people interviewing him, did not want anyone to know it was a Predator film until they went and saw it. And I think was a little bit disappointed that the game was given away.
You can't
but
get away
even
with that
in
now.
those first, when we first saw the trailer for it, which kind of came out of nowhere, I didn't realise. Everyone was going, oh my God, and of course me, sitting there going, I have no idea why everyone's getting so excited.
Why the 3 dots
Yeah,
are...
I haven't got a clue. So,
You've seen Predator.
Well, this is the thing. I have seen it. Can't really remember anything about it. It's not one of my sort of
You
films
watched it with
from
me, didn't you?
Childhood. Yeah, we've seen it together.
Okay.
But it's never stuck with, like, Aliens, for example. It's a film I've watched loads and loads of times, and I know all the dialogue and that's it. But I know there's many men in my life who I know Predator was like a really big deal for them in their youth. Yes, you put your hand up. Yeah. But it just never was for me because I didn't see it at that time. So I always enjoy sci-fi. I always enjoy that sort of thing. And Arnie was in the original, wasn't he? And all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, fine. But it just hasn't really sat with me. So I don't have that emotional sort of tie to it.
I mean, I loved the first Predator, unashamedly, like 5-star film. I think it's the perfect, like, there's no like romantic subplot in it. It's just big muscly boys shooting
is there
aliens.
A wrestler is he called, let me see if I can get some marriage points here.
Yes.
Is he called Jesse Ventura?
Yes.
And did he become some kind of politician?
He became governor for the state of Minnesota.
Wow. And
so
he a wrestler?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so you've actually got two state governors in that film.
Wow.
Yeah.
So many points.
Have you seen any of the sequels?
No.
Okay.
Oh, well, I will have caught, like, Aliens versus Predator on a late night, when you're sitting and you're
I've never seen those films. I don't consider them canon.
I think I quite like when Lance Henriksen sort of pops up. He always pops up in these sort of things. He plays Bishop in Aliens. I like that sort of when they try and sort of shoehorn in people from earlier. Yeah. Anyway, I don't mind those. I know this sounds, but you know how I love a terrible sequel.
Yeah.
So I don't mind those ones, but I can imagine that if you were a perfectionist in the world of Predator, you would absolutely hate those sorts of films.
I have more love for Predator 2 than most people, but it's not a good film. There is Predators, which
was that meant to be like a reboot?
Sort of, yeah.
Is that Shane Black? Have I got the name right?
Shane Black did The Predator.
Oh, okay.
Predators. I might be getting this the wrong way around.
Okay.
Actually, now we got me questioning myself. Predators is Adrian Brody.
Okay.
And The Predator. I've not actually seen The Predator. I gave up on it by that point. I'd given up on the franchise. But we have got a real change in the mood of this in this film.
Yeah, you're right. The Predator is Shane Black. So I don't know who did Predators.
Shane Black starred in the first Predator.
Oh, did he?
And
right.
then, as an actor, and then obviously has become someone behind the scenes, of Hollywood, yeah.
But this is a very different movie, isn't it? I mean, for a start, it's called Prey rather than Predator. I quite like that. And where the setting is completely different. We're going back in time to, is it the 1700s? Am I right in thinking that?
About that.
Yeah. Somewhere around there. And we are following a completely different set of people, and we've got a female protagonist, which is just amazing. So lots of ticks already in terms of just moving the Predator franchise, if you see this as part of it, to a different place.
So I'll say now, I love this film. I think it is nearly perfect, and I think I've got a couple of things that I really need to say about it, but Amber Midthunder, who is the female protagonist, is an absolute star. I mean, she's been in bit parts in other things. I mean, I think she was in a couple of episodes of Banshee.
I think Banshee. Klaxon for Banshee.
Yeah.
We'd mentioned Banshee. She was in Legion as well, which I absolutely hated. But I kind of, she's got these eyes. This set of eyes are so piercing, and I remember that from Legion.
But it's such a slow build. you think that the Predator is going to come and like it's going to appear in Act 1. It's quite far down the line that it appears, and you get a couple of like false starts of you expect the Predator to have been involved earlier, but you later find out it's not. It's so well made. The cinematography is absolutely beautiful.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Really reminds me of like The Revenant, the way this is filmed.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't shy away from being really, really fucking violent as well.
Which I think it has to, if you've got, I mean, the entire storyline in all these films it's hunting.
Yes.
So you've got to have that, haven't you? You've got to have a moment where the predator, whoever that is, because there's lots of different predators in this film. Much what I really like is the lyrical nature of it, that the predator isn't necessarily the predator monster. For example, there's a lot of subtext about prey versus predator versus prey. But if you're going to have a film about hunting, you've got to see the terrible consequences of when someone is hunted. So you're right that you've got to have that, and there's a lot of blood and there's a lot of gore, and the way people are killed, it is really quite violent.
What I could do without, there are some cute references to the other films, and then there are some, hey, did you get that reference?
I didn't. You turned to me at one point and went, oh, I hate that. And I didn't even know it was a reference to an earlier film.
There is a quote from the original Predator which is repeated in this, and that is just that other side of the line for me. It takes it too far, and it takes me out of the film. One thing I will say is, which I've not seen anyone else mention, stick to the end of like the stylized credits.
Yeah.
Because there is something there that you need to see.
Yeah, something occurs.
Yes.
It's almost like a...
It's not a mid-credit sting.
No,
but it's a plot point is contained within those credits.
And those credits are beautiful as well. So watch them. I mean, we watched all the way through because I was really quite enchanted by the beautiful end credits. And then you're right. We were like, oh,
yes.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, there are... I really would go into spoilers, but we can't. And it's not. I don't think there's enough to justify a spoiler section on this. But yeah, there are things which appear in other films, and it just really nicely referenced here and there. If you see the camera linger on something for a little bit too long, then you probably could work out what they're going to be, even if you're not familiar with the original film and its sequels. But yeah, absolute star-making performance. Her brother, played by Dakota Beavers, is really, it's his first film role as well. Yeah, and
I didn't know that.
He comes across so well in this.
Action, but also empathy,
and a lovely relationship between the two of them. Literally 4.5 stars for me. This film, I will watch this again and again. It is, it's so well made. It's so beautifully shot. It's such a shame that this isn't in cinemas. But as I understand it, that's a contractual thing, that if it was to be put in cinemas, it wouldn't be part of Disney as part of the takeover. It'd have to go on HBO Max rather than on Hulu and Disney Plus over here.
I'm so confused by it all. It's such a shame, and it clearly wasn't the intention of the filmmaker. In the interviews that I've listened with Dan Trachtenberg and with just the general discourse around it, it's clear this was not meant to be on a small screen.
But hey, at least it's not Batgirl.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Films being cancelled even when they're finished or just about to be, in that post-production stage.
Yes.
As Batgirl, you see, I didn't know anything about Batgirl. I didn't even know there was a Batgirl film coming out. But now I know that there isn't one coming out because they've scrapped it. Can I tell you what I think of the film?
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
Because Rob from the Movie Robcast also asked this question, and I batted him off by going, I can't say anything about it because we need to record a podcast and all that sort of rubbish. I thought it was okay, and I realised everyone's going to be like, what, Elaine, what? Maybe I just don't have that background, like I say, emotional connection with Predator. I think that maybe if I saw it at the cinema, I would feel slightly different. I've got it at sort of like 3.5 stars, maybe a low 4, because I found myself looking at my phone quite a bit. We watched it in parts, didn't we? We had to stop halfway through And I think that didn't help.
I could have watched it in a Warner, which I think was key for me. And it was you that you said, "Oh, should we?" I think we're tired. Should we just book? I could have watched it in a Warner. Which
I think environmentally, if I'd seen it at the cinema, if I'd seen it all in one go, if we were sat together and it was just right, let's be immersed in this film with that beautiful cinematography, I think I would feel not very differently, but I think I would, be a little bit more positive towards it. I found some of the action, there was a little bit of contrivance every now, as to how things worked out. Maybe I wasn't following it quite as much, and maybe those previous Predator references I knew, not maybe, they just weren't there for me.
Yeah.
So I didn't get that nice knowing, or that glow you get when you're like, oh yeah, I got that. All the things that you've said, I'm not going to repeat them because I agree with it, but just not quite as super duper. Like, I don't think I'd watch that again, but that's not to take away from the fact that I thought it was beautifully made. It just wasn't, not my cup of tea, but just wasn't something that I don't think I'm going to be drawn back to it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Might be wrong. You never know.
You are, but can we talk about Nope?
Let's do Nope. I can't believe that we've managed to not talk about Nope for quite some time.
It's over a week now, isn't it?
Because you went to see it the day that it came out in the UK. It's already been out in America for quite a while, which I didn't realise until you told me that, and also reviews of Nope started coming out on all the American podcasts, all the American review podcasts that we listened to, and then I got really annoyed because I had to just archive them and pretend that they weren't there, because typically we will go and see a film fairly early on. I mean, you in particular, if there's something you want to go and see, you will see it the day it comes out. You'll arrange things to, you go on an evening or on a weekend, the first weekend. And then you because you love to do the same thing as me, which is like get the podcast on, listen to other people's reviews. That's our way of relaxing, really. So you went to see it first, but then I went to see it pretty swiftly afterwards because it's Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
He of Get Out, he of Us. It's Daniel Kaluuya. It's just it's Keith David.
Keith David.
David, not David. Keith David. Michael Wincott, whose voice is just amazing, but also he's just such a presence.
Kiki Palmer,
who I didn't know.
Okay.
But I've heard from various other pods that she's been around for quite a while. I'm really glad that she's getting the attention that she's got in this.
And Stephen Yeun.
Yes.
From Walking Dead and Minari. What are your thoughts? Sorry, let's
be spoiler free.
Spoiler free for
now.
Let's talk about the plot as much as we can. This is the story of a black family living just outside the Hollywood system in California, in Los Angeles, who undergo a change in their family circumstances, I think it's safe to say. One night, look up at the sky, see something move, and this is the story of them trying to get a photo of that. I think, is that fair?
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I don't think that gives too much away. And certainly the trailers gave away more than that, which was actually, I'm really annoyed about. And you spent a long time not looking at the trailers or putting your fingers in your ears or averting your eyes.
I put headphones in whenever it came on, and because you said try and avoid it. Yeah,
because I watched one and was gutted, absolutely gutted, because I thought it didn't actually, now that I've seen the film, but I really thought it gave the whole game away. I would have preferred to have gone into this film knowing only what you've just said. I wish I'd had that experience, because I think as it unfolds it would give more, and now would be like, whoa, right, we're going here, or but because I was waiting for it to happen.
Yes,
that was a show. And some of the images in the trailer as well, I was waiting for them to come on the screen, and that's always annoying when that happens.
Do you want to go first?
You're not sure what. Yeah.
Do you want to go first, or should I?
Oh, you go. Oh, Marky. You're not convinced, are you?
I think this has one of the sloppiest first acts that I have seen for a long time. And I don't know what put me on the back foot, but there are so many jumps that are made in the plot of this, in the way that I don't expect from a Jordan Peele film. I have read reviews, and I'm going to shout out a review, which is by Walter Chow, from the Film Freak Central website that I don't know why this happened, but he is specifically calling out Jordan Peele for believing his own bullshit, saying when you have such hits and such industry changing hits, you stop taking advice, you stop giving a second read to your script, and you stop listening to people. I'm not sure that's what's happened here, but the first act of this is so sloppily written. It just didn't work for me. People just take massive leaps from one thing to another, and in the way that no one would in real life, and I just couldn't get along with it. Having said that, it rescued itself for me with a third act that I think is visually stunning. And even if I'm not quite there with the storyline, I think the third act set pieces really came off for me. But this is really sloppily made, and I really disliked the first half of it. I think there are things that, and I want to touch upon this in spoilers, that do not belong in this film, that are really good scenes, but are completely misplaced. And I'll give it a passing grade. Like, I think it's 3 stars, but it's a real disappointment for me, considering I didn't like Us as much as a lot of people.
I didn't. Yeah, I found it very hard to get along with.
I feel like a lot of people are saying that now, and I didn't feel like the place when I watched it.
Yeah, it feels like they've sort of re-gone. Yeah.
There is a comparison that has been made with another filmmaker.
Yes.
That's thinking about this. I have a lot of feeling around this for different reasons than people are saying as well.
Okay.
But I think that probably rolls around spoilers. You look crestfallen by that review.
I'm not crestfallen. I'm expecting it. I just got the sense when you came home that you had a lot to say, and that you had things that you really wanted to talk about. Whereas I came home bouncing, thinking this was brilliant. And really? I still think it's brilliant, but I think it's brilliant because I put all of those things to one side. I know there are plot holes in this. I can imagine that you would feel that there are bits that belong in other films, but I just really enjoyed the ride, and there's horror in this that I think is just beautiful to think about. So I've come away really engaging with people's reviews, really thinking about what it all means. And I love that about films. I love dissecting them and overanalyzing them. And let's compare with Prey. I'm not sitting dissecting and analysing that film. I've watched it, I've thought, oh, that's a good film, and then I've not thought about it again. But with this, the reason I'm enjoying it so much is because I'm dissecting in my mind, oh, what does he mean by this? What does he mean by that? I can see on your face that what you're going to say back to me, I'm going to guess it. What you can say back to me is that you shouldn't have to be doing that. The film should be saying
that's
what it says, and you shouldn't have to be putting threads together and making things up as to what Peele means. But that's what I enjoy doing.
That's not my feeling.
Okay.
My feeling is that I think with Us and Get Out, and I'm going to compare them because you need to it's the same. It's his history, so you shouldn't necessarily compare them, but you need to. I think the themes of that were so upfront, whereas in this they are buried underneath the plot a bit more. I think they are less obvious.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think
that's why I like it.
But I think there are scenes which are complete non sequiturs in the film. And I am just spent looking, going, why is that in there? What's he trying to say with this? Rather than enjoying the film. It's, for me, there is a flashback in the middle of the film, and I don't think that's
Are you talking about the flashback that's also at the beginning of the film as
Yes.
well? Right,
Yeah.
okay, just so I've got context.
And for me, that completely took me out of the film because I then spent thinking, what the fuck is this trying to say?
Oh, I think that's the best bit.
I think it's
So
the best.
that's-
I think
yeah.
it's the best scene in the film, but I don't think it played any part in there. Put it at the it belongs at the beginning of the film, but for me, it took me completely out of the film with the placement of that.
Fascinating, because I think thematically it's beautifully done, and I really like that discordance, that, you know, that, oh wow, right, we're going here, and what does it mean that we're going here? And I'm structuring a book at the moment, so my brain is very much about, right, where do you place things, and how does that feel to your audience? And I just loved it. I really enjoyed the fact that it was so not what you anticipated.
Oh, I want to shout out about what I want to say, but yeah,
That's
it
right.
belongs
I don't think we're going to agree, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to change your. You know, I'm not going to try and say, "Oh, come over to the dark side."
No.
There are plenty of reviews I've listened to where I've gone, "Wow, okay, I totally get where you're coming from. I know the filmmaker that you're clearly going to talk about in spoilers. I understand all the plot holes, and you know the pacing issues." But I just kind of was able to wave them away. And sometimes with films I'm not able to do that. But with this particular one, I don't know whether I just enjoyed it just so much. And I was so into what does this mean? I remember I watched that first scene and I was like, oh, wow, this is so different. This is going to take me on a ride. And I'm going to have to work really hard. And maybe I was just in the mood to do that.
Okay. So what I'm saying this is a 3-star film, which I know that doesn't sound like I am giving it a 3 stars, but I think the final set piece, which we're not going to touch upon at all on this, is genuinely stunning and a different example of what I've seen on here. But there is so much bullshit in between it that I can't give it higher than that.
I think I'm around about a 4.5. I'm not a full 5. I probably could be. I could probably be pushed. I think.
Only 4.5 is bullet train territory. It's.
Are you going to bring up Inside Out?
I wasn't going to actually.
Yeah,
but
long-time listeners of the pod will know that Mark is still haunted by the fact that I gave Inside Out 4 stars. Yeah. I don't think I'm quite. But I might have been. And then I listened to lots of people's reviews, and I think that's kind of brought me down a little bit, which I'm a bit sad about. And I do see the problems. I wasn't taken quite so much with some of the visual imagery towards the end of the film. I found myself thinking, I'm not sure that works. And also, it wasn't the visual representation of something that really sits with me. Difficult to talk about without, that sounds like complete rubbish, but I'm trying to be delicate for people who haven't seen it. But yeah, I'm about a 4.5. I think I just really liked it.
I'm glad you did. I'm genuinely glad you did, because I don't hate this film.
No. I'm not getting that vibe from you.
I'm not angry.
I'm just disappointed.
I'm just disappointed. Yeah. And yeah.
Well, you seem to have had a really good time with like your bullet train, the one about being in France. You okay? Is that it?
Not okay.
Not okay. You okay, hon?
Yeah.
And then Prey, you've had a really good run, haven't you? And
Yes.
I think maybe this one's just kind of like not feeling it.
Not for me, Clive.
Nope.
Shall we go into spoilers?
Yeah. So, massive spoilers for Nope. Do not listen to this if you haven't seen Nope. If you at any point want to enjoy this film, you do not want to know any of these things. But we're going to talk about it for people who have seen it and who maybe want a bit more of a deep dive into what we thought, with us being able to say words that we couldn't say 5 minutes ago. So, spoilers for Nope coming up now.
So the Shyamalan comparisons. And all the way through, I mean, obviously there's a science comparison.
Were you thinking of that
Yes,
all the way? See,
absolutely.
I didn't, and I feel like a fool because I love the M. Night Shyamalan films. We've had a long-running discussion about The Village, which I love and you hate, and you will always mention that as an example of me not knowing what
understanding
not
anything.
understanding anything.
No,
Well, you like The Village. I can't watch The Sixth Sense because it's just the scariest film I've ever seen in my entire life. But I really do love Signs and The Village. I'm not keen on The Happening. And later ones that he's done, like The Visit,
Yeah. I've not
really
seen
good.
The Visit.
Yeah, really, really good. I feel a bit daft because I didn't pick up on those. You know what I was thinking though? I was thinking Spielberg all the way through. I was thinking Jaws. I was thinking Close Encounters. I
War of the
really
Worlds.
felt, yeah. I was really thinking Spielberg, and I thought, oh, I'm being really clever with my Spielberg thoughts. And then everyone came along and said, oh, it's M. Night.
So the comparison to me obviously is Signs, but the thing for me is, after The Sixth Sense and to a lesser extent Unbreakable, everyone went into the next M. Night Shyamalan film waiting for that twist.
Where's the twist? Yeah.
And Signs doesn't really have a twist. And I think this, after Us and after Get Out, everyone was looking for the big themes. And I think there are social commentary themes there, but they are a little bit under the surface.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it took me out of it, because if you have the Gordy scene, just comes out of nowhere when we're talking about horses, and then all of a sudden it says Gordy and we're transported back to the mid-80s or whenever it was.
Yeah,
or
90s, the 90s, yeah.
And why am I watching an orangutan, or is it chimpanzee? Chimpanzee ripping someone's face off? Well, I mean, that's what happens.
I know, but...
And so I'm immediately thinking, okay, so why is this here, and what is Jordan Peele trying to say with this?
There's a link. There's an animal welfare theme, but there's also the theme of you can't control sentient beings.
But why is that in the middle of the film? Because it then goes straight into Stephen Yeun having his little show.
Yeah, I think that's why it's there.
I think it's really clunky, the fact that it's... I found that really clunky.
I think
it's
it's reminding you of what's happened to Stephen. So you're really getting at the view of this child who's been completely traumatized, who's almost like really trying to relive, as an adult, as a child performer, he's trying to relive and trying to build, and he's clearly got some sort of connection with the he's been getting the horses from next door, from Daniel and Kiki, and he's been essentially feeding the horses to this, and now he's got a new show around this spectacle. And
so but then I'm on such a back foot at that point where I'm like, well, why is he showing this show that would like absolutely change the world to like a few dozen idiots from the local theme park?
Yeah, okay.
I would be getting the press down, and I'd be making a shitload of money, and Oprah. There is obviously a lot of commentary about the use of animals in films in this, and I don't know whether that's subtext for another thing or something like that. And it's fine to have that comment, but there's a hell of a lot of animals used in this as well. So
yeah.
What is he trying to say? I think that the scene in the barn is one of the scenes of the year. The thing where you think you have seen the alien.
I was terrified.
I as soon as I saw it, I thought Elaine's going to absolutely shit herself.
Yeah, I had to look away because I was like, I just can't. Especially when there was one hiding around the corner, and I thought it was going to leap out, and I just couldn't look at the screen.
It's always fun to see someone punch a child in the face.
Oh, honey. I did think I was like, this height. But then...
You see it later on, he's got a big bruise on his face.
Oh, no, I didn't see it. But the gore of the whole family and all those people being eaten by this alien monster, I found that really affecting. When you're actually seeing them going up into, like, the bowels of the beast, I found the gore really, really the horror really affecting.
I found that was the one bit which didn't work for me as part of the spectacle. It seemed like someone rolling about in like the tube that we've got for Blake, and it didn't quite. It seemed a bit Doctor Who rather than Jordan Peele. But yeah, clearly I've heard people say that really worked for them, so fair enough.
I wasn't really taken, and this was my reference in the non-spoiler section. I wasn't really taken by the look and feel of the spacecraft / animal.
Really?
Yeah, I know it's beautiful. I know it's beautifully rendered, particularly when it's got like its big old flappy wings out at the end. But I think I would have preferred something that didn't look like a spaceship. I know it's meant to look like a spaceship so that they think it's a spaceship, but it's not a spaceship. But it really did look like just a giant orifice.
It looked to me like an orchid or a praying mantis, which I thought was interesting given the praying mantis earlier in the film.
Okay. That makes it a bit
But
better,
the orchid,
actually.
obviously, there is similarities between an orchid and other parts of the anatomy.
The body, yes.
Yeah, it
did just look like...
I mean, I've just seen Jackass Forever, and there is an actual genital monster that runs through the street. But yeah, this was probably done better, but probably purposefully so.
I mean, I didn't find it like comedic or anything. I just kind of like, I could have done with it looking a bit different. I don't know. It just didn't. It's one of those things where, like, if there was a poster of it, I wouldn't put it on my wall. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't sort of. Whereas like the barrels from Jaws, I just like love that imagery. And this, I know I'm going.
Where's this come from?
I'm very tired, Mark. I'm very tired.
It reminds me of one of the Kings of Leon album titles, which is album covers.
Album covers. Yeah.
Which I can't quite work out which one it is, but yeah. So the first act.
Yeah, why do you have such a problem with it? I thought it was just really good. I thought that sorry, I've asked you a question. Now I'm going to.
Yes, now you're going to tell me why I'm wrong.
No, I'm not telling you why I'm wrong. It's that history. It's, you know, when we talk about themes, and obviously this is Jordan Peele theme, and he's talking about race, which he always has done in his previous films, in Get Out, obviously particularly, but in Us when he's talking about privilege as well. There's this story that I didn't know, which is part of the problem, isn't it? Of the black jockey who's been recorded, and it's one of the first instances of the moving picture, and I've subsequently heard from other reviews that we don't know the name of the black jockey, but they give him a name in this film, and they give him a familial connection to I was about to say David Keith. Why do I always get this wrong? Keith David. And Keith Balmer and Daniel Kaluuya. So there is this history of Hollywood and the total underrepresentation of black people within Hollywood in whatever, you know, in front of the screen, behind the screen, and that was a very clear theme, and that came out very specifically in that first part. And that, did you not feel that come through?
No, that's absolutely fine. It's there's something in the sky. Right, we're going to have to get a photo of it, and that's what we decided, right? So it's a UFO, so we're definitely going to do this. We're going to spend shitloads of money on equipment, and then we're going to get it on Oprah, and we're going to make our money. We'll go to the shop, and then, so do you want us to install it? No. Oh, well, I could do it for you. And then it's the same guy that comes and installs it.
I love him.
I think he's brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant.
What's his name?
I've got it on, sorry, I've got it here, but I've just put my notes down. Brandon Perea. As Angel, but then he's walking around and he's like, so what the fuck are you doing with UFOs? And I'm like, have we missed a scene here?
But he really likes UFOs. He's like someone who's he's broken up from his girlfriend and she's left him.
None of this has been revealed to him. He like makes four different leaps, and then he's suddenly part of the little gang.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah, it was.
I like that.
Narratively, I think it was really, really clunky, and
I liked it.
I expected better from a Jordan Peele film, to put it bluntly.
I really enjoyed it. I love that, like, getting the gang together, and then Michael Wincott comes. Is it Wincott or Winnicott?
Winnicott.
Just names all over the shop today. I just love how he pops it. I could have done with a bit more of him.
I could have done with him being cut out of the film. Again, like, playing a brilliantly memorable part, but it
like the
plays. It plays no.
Yeah.
It's a vanity thing.
I like
Absolute luxury putting him in there, and then he just tries to take a photo of it, and then he's got his little hand camera.
Yeah, well, he's all about like the old school camera,
and then he sacrifices. Yeah, but is this?
Yeah, but he's not well, isn't he? There's a shot of him taking some drugs, and I think he's like come to the end of his life.
Sacrifices himself, and you didn't get the shot anyway, did you, pal? Failure on that. I just couldn't. I love Michael Wincott from what was the film we saw him in as part of this? And he plays a big baddie in it. And
he's the Crow.
The Crow, that's it. Yeah.
He's also in Alien Resurrection as well, which I always remember him for. I know you've just looked at me like that. Well, that's a fact that no one cares about.
I went and saw Alien Resurrection, and then immediately left the cinema and queued up to see Blair at the Hull Ice Arena.
Blair or Blur?
Blair.
Blair.
Yeah, Tony came around, and Prime Minister Tony at the time.
Blair.
Yeah. Yeah, I was about to say something probably slanderous then. So yeah,
let's try not to do that on the podcast when we're very tired.
Yes, I'm really glad this worked for you, and I'm really glad you got a lot out of it.
It clearly doesn't work when you dig into it. So I totally get that, and I'm not saying that anything that you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying.
Thanks.
I'm just saying that I was able to hand wave it. I was able to let it go.
And you know what? Like, there are films where I've been able to let it go, and there are films where it's not worked for me, like The Batman.
Yes, yeah.
And you know, if you go into it a different mood, then different things, you know, care. But yeah, I think it was solid. I think it's probably probably my least favourite of his films.
I'm Get Out, Nope, and then Us is my list.
Okay, Get Out, Us, this. I think he's good. which means he's going for The Village next, which is going to be really bad and a really mangled social message. Can I explain why I hate The Village?
I mean, you have done before. But
I've thought about this a lot recently because I knew this was going to come up as part of this. My problem is, it builds towards the twist, but the twist isn't revealed to any of the characters, so it's just essentially like...
That's the whole point.
No, but it's not, because if at the end of The Sixth Sense, just a big title card came up and goes, Bruce Willis was dead all along, it wouldn't be as good, because the fun is seeing Bruce Willis react to that, whereas Bryce Dallas Howard climbs over a fence, and oh look, it's modern times, climbs back over. This is the quintessential Poochie dad on the way to his home planet.
I like it. It's a film about trauma. It's all about trauma. They've all been traumatized. A lot of them have had and obviously resonating now, a lot of them had child loss, and there's this bereavement group of traumatized people, and they just wanted to build a different world for their families, and that's even before what happened to us. That totally speaks to me, and therefore I don't need Bryce Dallas Howard's world to be turned upside down. I need her to go back into her own world and defeat the monster and be the hero. Okay, well in that case, then the twist means absolutely nothing to you. If the twist wasn't in there, then what you said is nothing to do with it build. I think it spends the entire film building towards the twist. Yeah,
and the twist is just complete.
No, it isn't. No, the twist gives. Well, it's information. You're given information to understand why this community exists in the first place.
I wish I was going to build a community where that film didn't exist. It's his, however, better than Lady in the Water.
I've never seen Lady in the Water.
Oh, we could probably do a hate watch on that one day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't really like doing hate watch. I'll probably end up loving it, you know that. I probably will, given that I love The Village. Apart from Adrian Brody, who I find I've got questions around that performance.
I don't think that performance would go ahead nowadays.
I agree. I think I would find that having with a child with disabilities, I would find that very difficult. A difficult representation of learning disabilities.
Yes.
Yeah, I would have things to say, I think.
You know, if I was going to put my family in a thing, I wouldn't bother resetting the clock. I'd just say, look, it's 20.
Are you still going on about The Village?
It's 2023, and because you don't know any different, so I can just carry on calling it 2023.
What are you going on about?
Well, why bother?
You're telling me you're not going to tell me that the time.
Well, no, because you'll be in on it, but
I'm not in on it. I'm not doing it. I'm happy for the world to turn. I'm happy in modern times. Are you just saying that you're just going to build the rest of our family?
If I was going to, I wouldn't bother going to the thing of resetting the date back, because there's no need to reset the date back other than to...
No, the whole idea is that you're going back to simpler times where you don't have television and you don't have, and
that's absolutely fine.
You're protecting from politics and war and...
But you don't have to say... You can just do that now and say, look, this is the way it is, and not say, oh, it's 1853 or whatever year they pretend it is. I hate that film.
we've now turned into the Village podcast.
Bonus Village spoiler special.
Bonus content.
I think we probably spent more time on this than anything
I know.
else.
You know how I was talking about how we're getting loads of new listeners?
Yes.
They've gone now.
Gone now.
They've gone now.
No more Philippines.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much, everyone. We're really sorry.
Yes.
It was good while it lasted.
No one's listening. No one's listening anymore. Right. Should we?
Right, come on.
Should we retire?
Let's retire.
Have you got anything else on Nope?
No.
Good. Right.
Did you get my joke?
Yes.
No.
Oh, you didn't stop to the end of the credits, did you? Of Nope.
No, I didn't. No, I left. Why was I meant to?
Because I looked on after credits and it said, "Yep, there's something after the credits." So I sat there and I waited and I waited, and the other people in the cinema all went out.
Yeah, and did the
like,
person with the bag come in and start
like
putting
proper
the,
like looking at you
popcorn in?
like
Yeah.
no, because they don't start. They just stand by the
They just
doorway.
stand.
And I think at one point they turned on the lights, saw me, went out, turned them off again. Yeah, which makes me feel like an absolute prick. And all it was at the end of the credits is a billboard, like not even a billboard, like just a graphic saying, Liberty's, what's it called? The theme park, that Stephen Yeun's theme park.
Oh, Jupiter's something or other.
Jupiter's
Claim?
anyway.
Jupiter's Claim.
Jupiter's Claim is
Okay, I
now
pulled that
is
from
now an
memory.
attraction at the Universal Studios
But
tour.
then you got really excited about that, and you told me about that when you came home.
Yeah, but I
you
really
might be
wish I'd
going.
not sat there like really.
Well, you were obviously really into the film. You loved the film so much that you had to sit right to the end and take every bit of it in.
Yeah, I felt.
Well, I'm looking
cheated.
forward to you coming back from Los Angeles with pictures of you with the giant bum in the sky. But that's
Face down the well.
yeah, coming to get
I don't
you.
think I'm gonna have time to go on the Universal Studios tour, unfortunately.
Oh,
but,
that's sad.
Well, I've got a lot of things to do.
I know you've got a lot of things. For anyone who hasn't listened to any earlier episodes, Mark's going to LA next year, so we'll probably be referencing that until the point that he goes.
I will be.
And when he comes back
Yes,
as well.
yeah.
We've got a full review of Los Angeles, City of Angels,
Yes. Well,
and wrestling.
you've only learnt that today, haven't you?
I have. I've said that a lot today, though. Have
Yes.
you noticed?
Yes.
That I keep saying it. And then I keep singing the Gotham City song that was done by R. Kelly.
I can't mention that anymore.
City of Justice, City of Love, City of Peace for every one of us. Yeah, it's been a really hard week, hasn't it?
It's been a really long podcast.
I've been living in pop culture world to try and therapize myself.
Therapize?
Yes,
Is that a word?
That is a word today.
Right, let's end this podcast now.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for coming. Please come back.
Please come back.
You can find us at The Honeymoon Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
And if you'd like to leave a review on iTunes or a star rating on Spotify, we'd really appreciate it. See you next time.
Bye.